figured I would humor you guys really quick. Yes, I do have a black eye in this video. It's the dumbest thing you've ever heard in your life. I was waiting on my daughter to get ready for school. I walked into the bedroom, our bedroom, and I flopped down on the bed like a little child, and my wife had laid her iPhone in the middle of the bed, and I didn't know, and the poofiness of our comforter literally catapulted the iPhone into my eye, and I have a massive black eye when I did this video. So I just wanted to address that elephant in the room. No, my wife is not beating me, although she sometimes probably wants to, but not this time. So I hope you guys enjoy the video.
What's up, everybody? Michael Richards here with Elite Athletic Performance. Going to switch gears here today, talk about vertical jumping, how to build the vertical jump. Volleyball, club volleyball season will be wrapping up soon, so we're going to switch gears, talk about that, show some love to our volleyball population. That is one of my favorite groups to work with. They are such hard workers. They're so much fun to be around, and it gives me a break from baseball. I'm pretty irritated with baseball right now. That's a topic for another day. MLB is making all kinds of stupid rules, and they're changing how the defense can play, and it's really getting on my nerves. So I would like to switch gears and talk something else, and this is a really good segue for it because I love the volleyball population. So stick around. Should be a good one.
Hey, what's up, guys? Just wanted to tell you about a new way to support our channel and to get great products out there. We've got an affiliate link going with Mark Pro now. You guys know that we use these a lot in gym. Big believer in them. The way that they decrease soreness and help with muscle soreness, things like that. These are actually like, you know, what we used to think about with the flush runs and stuff like that. These are actually doing something similar to that. They're a really good product. If you use our affiliate link or our code, actually, whenever at checkout, you can use EAP LLC, and you will get 10% off of your purchase. So I appreciate you guys using that. We'll get back to the video.
All right, so first things first, who am I? I'm Michael Richards. I'm the owner of Elite Athletic Performance in Benton. I've been doing this pretty much my entire adult life. I took a little hiatus to try a different business when I was in my mid-20s. I am 42 now, so that was a while back. I've been doing this a long time. If you're more interested or want to see my background or see more about what we've got going on, check out our website. We don't have to dive into it here and save time on this video, so you can check that out. My background, everything's on there. I always, before we get started, I like to ask, please like and subscribe. I've recently found out that basically Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, the ways that normal people share information in this day and age, are owned by Facebook or Zuckerberg or whoever, and YouTube is owned by Google, and they do not play well together. It's really petty and annoying, but there is nothing that we mere mortals can do about it. So it's really, really, really hard to grow a YouTube channel. Even people that would be interested in the information that I am giving in these videos, a lot of them will never see it because Facebook will bury you in the algorithm. They will just basically shut it down and censor you if you are using the YouTube channel, if you are using YouTube. If you share a YouTube link or even share something honestly that looks like a YouTube thumbnail, you will not get as much engagement on that post, and that is happening. So it's really annoying. It is what it is. I could go off on a cloud yelling old man rant right now, but I'm not going to do that. So please just, I'd really appreciate it if you find this video helpful. Like and subscribe. One way we could get around the Facebook censorship of the links is if you enjoy the video, you know somebody that would like or maybe find it useful, hit share and copy the link and text it to them or send it to them through DMs or whatever. That is a way around that. It would make this a lot easier. It would help pushing growing a YouTube channel is like pushing a sled through quicksand, man. It's tough. So, and comments, anything you can comment, anything, if you've got questions, please comment them. Obviously, please like and subscribe to the channel. That would really, really help. I always do a devotional, sometimes from scripture. I never really talk about it. I don't want to sound like a preacher. I am obviously not a preacher. So, but in this one, I shared a few books that have really made a difference in my life, and aside from the Bible, and these are some really good ones. Hopefully those help. How would you know about jumping higher? You train baseball players. That's a fair point. That's a fair point. The reason that well, first off, before it's kind of a side note. Not only am I a strength coach, I'm also a speed and agility coach, a certified speed and agility coach. But the real reason and my real motivation for knowing how to make people in general jump higher, athletes jump higher, is I figured out a long time ago, there is a very direct correlation to if athlete A, if I take him and I start training him on January 1st, and he jumps, his vertical jump is 15 inches and in the air, and he runs a 10-yard sprint in 2 seconds. If on February 1st I have gotten his vertical jump up to, and say on January 1st he throws 78 miles an hour, and if I can make his vertical jump get up to 18 inches by February 1st, get his 10-yard sprint down to 1.9, his velocity most likely will have jumped up as well without any sport-specific type training. Not really any other than just keeping his arm fresh. He probably will be throwing somewhere close to 80 or something like that, and we will keep incrementally working that. That is my motivation. I figured out a long time ago that running faster, helping athletes build the ability to be more explosive, jump higher and run faster. I don't care about those things, but I care about hitting baseballs hard and throwing them fast. And now helping volleyball girls jump higher. So basically I stumbled into this, was using it for our baseball players, and then stumbled into the volleyball population, which, I was using it to build velocity in our baseball players. Well, jumping higher is the velocity for most volleyball girls. That's what y'all want. That's what they're looking for. And so it was a nice little fit, nice little mix. I tell every parent of every volleyball player that I've trained, I don't even know the positions on the court. All I know is if you jump higher than the other team and you hit the ball so hard it's dangerous for them on the other side of the net, then you're going to win and you're never going to get cut from a team, aside from attitude issues or something like that. So that part I know, and that part's in my wheelhouse. That's why I know and can help athletes that don't play baseball jump higher and be more explosive. So, first things first, let's get into some common misconceptions. So I hear this a lot. Well, I got this jump program off the internet. I bought it, I'm going to add that in and I'm going to do it when I get home after training here. You cannot burn candles at both ends. People we all know that, but we seem to forget it. There's a saying that Zach Daycant, who is the strength coach at TCU, he's a friend of mine, says, you want to stimulate athletes, not annihilate athletes. And if they are going to practice, coming here and training, and then going home and doing some cockamamie jump program that they found on the internet, that is officially burning your candle at both ends. And you got to be careful. I truly believe, and it's not even really a belief, this is a fact, because it's overuse. It's just straight up overuse. There is technically a limit, a number of jumps an athlete needs to make in a given day. Or you could zoom out and look at it over a given week, over a given month, year, whatever. Just like pitch counts in baseball. There are so many pitches that a pitcher can throw, and each one has a little bit of a different variance, but there's a general guideline that you can use at certain ages. I believe that it's a very similar situation, and we just don't see it like that because there's, in 2014 in the baseball community, we were running around calling arm injuries the arm epidemic and all this drama queen sounding type stuff, and we just don't do that with volleyball, even though volleyball girls are blowing up their ACLs probably at a much higher clip than baseball players are blowing up their elbows. So maybe not much higher, but probably equal. But what's happening is, because it's jumping, it just doesn't seem as I don't even really know how to describe it, but it's just it's not getting the same attention. People just keep adding and adding. Like if I were to take a player and have him throw as hard as he possibly could every single day, look at that, sticker fell off. If I had him jump every single day or throw as hard as he could every single day, people would try to call child services on me. But this is what we're doing every single day, and don't even get me started on volleyball players that play club ball and are in basketball at the same time. Like, we won't even get into that. That will really get me fired up. So, uh, what you've got to understand is a program that is going to help an athlete jump higher, you would probably be surprised how little jumping there is in it. And if you have an athlete that happens to be going through practices with their high school team or their club team at this particular time, there's going to be no jumping in the program that they do up here because they're already hitting their jump count that I just talked about at practice and all that. And what I've run into is sometimes athletes or their parents or both, they will, they're getting in the car or they're talking at dinner or whatever, and the parent is asking, well, what'd you do at EAP? What'd you do at practice? Well, I left practice, I went to EAP, I lifted weights, and then I came home. Well, did you not jump? Well, no, he told me not to. So they end up doing thousands or hundreds of box jumps on their own or whatever, some kind of jump program, like I said, that they bought online. The reason that I didn't let them jump is because they already hit their jump count at school. It's not that we don't jump, but they already hit their jump count. So you got to be careful with that. You can't just be adding. Like if you've got a 5-gallon bucket, you can't just continually pour water into it and expect it to not spill over. Eventually you pour into it, you're going to make a mess. You keep pouring. You got to be careful with that stuff. So moving on, the next common misconception is the fear of body weight impacting ability. And it's funny to me, but we do run into this. There's a guy named Usain Bolt. You may have heard of him. He is like the fastest man in the world, and he weighs like 200. It's a lot. He's heavy. He is solid muscle. Look, body weight only impacts your ability if your body weight consists of a bunch of fat. That's the only time it matters. No weight room, no muscle, no anything has ever made a high school athlete slower, jump less, or anything of that nature. Please understand that. Lamborghinis do not get outran by Priuses. Ever. They never do. And they never will. Okay? They are way heavier than Priuses. So remember that. The body composition is what matters. If you're carrying a bunch of body fat, then yes, your weight, the weight of your body could be impacting your ability to jump. Yes, no, it's not could. It is impacting your ability to jump because it's doing absolutely nothing to help with the force that's being put into the ground to help you jump or develop the force. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. So please understand that. Lifting weights, especially the right kind of lifting weights, strength training, plyometrics, things like that, never in the history of the world have made somebody jump less high. Donuts, gas station food, no poor sleep habits, things like that, those impact people's ability to jump higher because they make them fat. This one kind of goes back to really all of it. It's kind of an overlook of everything. It's self-diagnosis. My wife is a very highly sought after accountant, and she is really good at her job, okay? She tells me some outlandish stuff that I just don't understand to do with the taxes of this business. It makes no sense to me. I have no idea why we have to do that. It makes no sense. But I know better than the self-diagnosed because I'm not a tax person. She's not either. She's actually an auditor. But she still knows better than me, right? Way better, way more, and has more resources to find out the right answers, right? So I trust her because I know she's right. This is where you get into going back to that more jumping thing. This is where you can get into that a little bit. I love y'all. I don't even know who's watching this. I'm telling you right now. I love you. I do. We're all sons and daughters of Jesus Christ. I love every one of you. But you don't need to be making decisions that you're not qualified to make, okay? And adding a jump program to a kid's schedule when they're already leaving practice is self-diagnosis. You are making a decision that you're not qualified to make. I have had kids before. It happens all the time. Well, I'm doing, and when a volleyball player tells me, well, I hear this, like, I'm sure you can tell, I hear this a lot. Well, this jump program that I bought online, and that's so similar to the throwing velocity programs. It's the same stuff. It's the same ilk that are selling them out there because they know that that parents will throw money at their kids' performances to give them the most opportunities, and people prey on that, you know. So when I hear this, well, I added this jump program in. I'm like, all right, quick question. Which one's more important, the jumping or the landing? Which one's more important? They either answer it incorrectly or they answer it correctly because they can tell I'm setting them up. And I questioned whether I was going to go into this in this video, but I will, before I tell you the answer and why, I will tell you a person that can't go into pretty broad detail about that answer and be correct is not qualified to make the decisions of the training decisions for an athlete when they're trying to jump higher, period. And like I said, I'm getting old, I get cranky, or I'm crankier in my older age, and I don't really care whose feelings I hurt with that. It's the truth. It's just the truth, okay? Why is that? Which one's more important, the jumping or the landing? It's the landing. So you've got to be careful with this, because the first thing that's going to happen with anything that comes with self-diagnosis is any program that is being bought. I'm going to tell you right now, if it's focused on the landing, you're not going to buy it because it's not sexy. It doesn't look like anything that would teach a person or help a person jump higher. And so you're going to be like, that's a crappy program. And so you're going to end up with a program that focuses on the jump, what's called the concentric portion of the movement, which is the explosion off of the ground. Well, that's good and well. But what happens every time you jump? What goes up must come down, right? The injuries happen on the way down. If you are injured, you can't jump no more. That's the way that works. And so you have to be able to put the brakes on. You can't give a kid a Lamborghini and cut the brake lines, right? You have to be careful about that. So building their ability to jump, you're building the ability to jump without giving them the ability to control it on the way back down. And that's when all of this jarring happens. That's when ACLs blow out. That's when all these overuse injuries happen. It is not the jump portion, it's the landing, okay? Now, obviously, if you are being technical on which one is most important, you understand that the jumping part of when you are asking or trying to jump higher, you are trying to get higher off the ground, obviously. So the concentric portion of the movement is very important. But like I said, before you worry too much about that, if you can't land every single one of those jumps safely, it doesn't matter, because you're going to be walking around in a knee brace after ACL surgery. So it doesn't matter. If you can't land every single one of those jumps, it does not matter how good you are at the concentric portion of the movement, okay?
I'm going to tell you all about another quick way to support our page, our channel, and keep this free content coming out. You can go over to our Patreon page and sign up to do a $5 a month membership, or a $10 or $25, and actually I think there's a $50. Never mind. So we're working on ways to thank you for these, but we have people that just want to support, and it is greatly appreciated. That would keep this content coming out and move it out a lot faster, so we could hire some of the production costs to be done. These videos take about 20 hours of dedicated work to get done, so any help you can get that would speed that process up, we would really appreciate it. And I appreciate you guys watching. We'll get back.
What factors make you jump higher? All right, and I jumped around. I've gotten a little bit out of sorts. Some of these topics I've jumped ahead on just because I have ADD and I ramble, but I believe we'll be able to tie it all in together. So what factors make you jump higher? If you know me, you're probably rolling your eyes right now, but I'm here to tell you, I don't say this because it's what I want to believe. I say this because I've hit all the wrong answers, and they always led me back to this. Always, okay? The first factor, and you got to stick around. If you're like, you got to see the next one, because it's not the only factor. It is the first factor, okay? It's not just strength. You can't just strength train. You've got to do some other stuff with that strength, okay? So, what factors make you jump higher? Strength. The biggest misconception. is, maybe it's 1 and 1A, but jumping is just straight up putting force into the ground. It's propelling the body away from the ground, okay? The deadlift looks just like somebody jumping because they're both hip hinges. They're called hip hinges. That's another one of those things. If you're trying to decide if somebody is good at what they are able, or you should trust them to build a program for you to learn it to jump higher, or for your kid, ask them what a hip hinge is. If they can't tell you, you keep moving. So the strength, having the ability the strength to push the body away from the ground is the number one thing. You can't do any of the rest of the stuff. You can't make any of the rest of the factors happen if you don't have a high enough level of strength. I always say, like, I have a video called The Strength Cup. Is your strength cup big enough? And I use the example of a cup, but this will work. All right, if this is your strength cup right here, and imagine the liquid going into the cup, that is the ability to be powerful, be fast, hit volleyballs hard, and jump high over the net, and hit baseballs hard, and throw them hard. That's the liquid that goes into the cup. The cup is your strength, okay? So if I have a 5-gallon bucket versus this, I can fit more liquid in to that bucket than I can this. If you have a shot glass, you're trying to pour, and this is where all the strength or the sport specific work, when I see, and I hate to, well, I won't say the brand name, but it's a platform, and it's got all these bungee cords that you hook yourself to, and the people using them they're selling these vertical jump programs, and what, like I just said about the landing, well, what's it doing to that kid? Pulling them back down to the ground. So really, it's even doubling the impact and the risk for an overuse injury. So I really don't like those things, but those things are missing this component. Like, those things would be fine for an Olympic athlete that squats like 400 pounds and they move well and their mobility's fine and all this stuff. Then you can start using those cool looking little tools to help get that last little bit out of that athlete. But for practically every single high school athlete in the history of the world, you can do everything you need to do, and really and truly, we do everything that you need to do and more that those particular apparatuses do. And people have been doing that in the weight room for years with bands, and we do it every single day. You don't have to have one of those things. They're just really cool looking, and capitalism creates things like that sometimes, and that's the way that is. There's no other system better, but it does every now and then create some buyer beware situations. So, like I said, you got to have a strength cup big enough to handle the things that you are wanting to put in them. So that's factor number 1. 2, what factors make you jump higher? RFD, real freaking deal. Rate of force development. You have to be able to create force fast, okay? The example that always works for me is if you have the guy that's at the fair and he is running up and he's like the punching bag thing, and it measures how hard you can punch. This guy gets a running start, punches it, and it's a really big number. But if he was just sitting here like this and punched, it wouldn't be a big number. Then you see Mike Tyson and he goes like this, and it is a big number. That's rate of force development. The guy in the first example does not have a high rate of, he doesn't have the ability to create a high rate of force development. Okay, he is having to take a way too long of a time to create his force. Mike Tyson has no trouble with that, right? It is, any movement he has is forceful and powerful from the very second, the first millimeter he moves. It is as powerful as it is for the rest of the movement. That is freakish athleticism, and there is a way to train that. And this is where, like I've said before, I am not an egomaniac. If you know me, you know I'm not, but the reason that I say things like this is because, like I've said, I've screwed things up so many times, and it's led me back to this, that you really need, if you are truly serious about building an athlete's ability to jump higher or run higher or run faster, all that stuff, you have to have a qualified strength and conditioning specialist that knows what they're doing to program all of this stuff. Because if they don't know what rate of force development is, like, you're just getting, some people call it football strong. I really hate that analogy as well, but because football requires a lot of rate of force development too. So you have to understand that going into it. The person that is creating the program really needs to understand rate of force development, and that isn't just everyday normal people that understand that stuff. So make sure you got somebody, if you're very serious about this, make sure you got somebody that knows what they're doing with that. So 3, technique, kinda. I would definitely steer clear of anybody that is selling you on the idea of teaching you how to jump. There is some technique involved in sprinting and stuff like that, and throwing and hitting and all that, and jumping. There's technique involved too. There are movements in the weight room that will clean 97% of those up. If you are an Olympic high jumper, or you are an Olympic, or maybe you're going into the NFL combine and your entire livelihood depends on your vertical jump and being able, like, you might get into some technique work. That's about it. So that is super duper specialized work. If you take an athlete, a younger athlete, especially when I say younger, anywhere in high school and most college athletes, continue to build their ability to deadlift properly, it will clean that technique up. All right, so how do I make those things better? And I've touched on this already. The correct strength training. It has to be the correct one. And it really is a matter of what you want. Just like everything else, if you are okay with a mediocre result, then a mediocre program will probably be okay. If you need bigger results, then you need to go out and get a quality program. And again, like I said, the mediocre program, you probably run a little bit of a bigger injury risk. You could make the argument, but maybe if you're pushing the envelope with the training program, maybe there's a bigger injury risk. I would actually argue the other way, but that's nothing that could be proven one way or the other. So what you need to make sure you're doing the correct strength training, right? So make sure you got a person, like I said, understands rate of force development. They understand workloads. That's the other thing that's very important. If you're taking, and this is one of those red flags, private strength coach or a private performance coach or whatever, if he is basically covering his or her ears as to what happened at school today, you need to keep walking. You need to save your money. That person is not paying, they don't know what they're doing, and they don't understand workloads, okay? So if your kid's been at practice and then you take them up there and they're banging their chest, you take them to that particular performance training center and that person is banging their chest about how they made your kid throw up or how they're working their butts off and blah, 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 the grind don't stop and all that stuff, you need to keep going. I'm telling you, you need to keep walking because that is not a good situation. All right. So what do you mean by correct? Like I said earlier, landing or jumping, which one's more important, right? We deadlift to jump, we squat to land. And I won't go into that that's another one of those things. If somebody doesn't really understand what I just said, red flags everywhere, okay? All right, how do I make those better? Plyometrics. Again, yeah, plyometrics in some cases. If you've been at practice all day, then plyometrics are out. You've hit your jump limit. So got to be careful with that. Got to be able to know, like I said, how to program around some of that stuff. If there's one thing, and I'm dead serious, if there is one thing that surprises most people about how to make somebody jump higher, it's the fact that I will take the deadlift movement, over every plyometric known to man for 95% of high school athletes. Easy, no question. The movement is the same, and because 95% of those athletes, that 95% don't have a big enough strength cup. So I basically am playing the numbers when I say that. If I had to take one thing that will make as many high school athletes as possible jump higher than they do right now, it's easily deadlift. It's not even close. There's not a single plyometric that will work better, because plyometrics are part of that liquid that goes into the cup. And so if the cup's not big enough, it's just going to spill out like I'm shooting a fire hose into a shot glass anyways. So you've got to build that strength cup and give them a chance to retain some of that ability, okay? Got to be able to build the strength cup. You can also build rate of force development if you know what you're doing with that deadlift as well. So it's very versatile. Okay, we do it every day here. All right, so that is it. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully I didn't ramble too much. I get excited about this stuff. We really need to grow this channel. Like I said, I would really appreciate you sharing this. We're at 285, I think, right now on subscribers. We were hoping to get to 300 by the time we hit middle of March, but it just hadn't happened. So it is what it is. We'll keep pumping these videos out. I hope that you enjoyed this. If you have any questions, please like and comment those questions in the comments of this thing. It helps with the algorithm so much. I'd really appreciate it. I appreciate you guys watching, and we'll see you in the next one.